Joining us via satellite tonight from our nation's capital, a fellow for the Progress and Freedom Foundation, Patrick Ross joins us, and from San Francisco, activist for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Derek Slater. Welcome to The Loop, everybody. Patrick, I want to start with you, sir. Do you think the recording industry should be sending these lawsuits and these notices to college students?
Well, I don't think they should be sending notices to churches because that's not where the illegal downloaders are. You said lawsuits. That's not what's going on here. They recognize that college students love music more than just about anybody else. They also tend to be about the most broke group of anybody else. So they're not necessarily trying to sue. They're trying to get the universities to step up and be responsible for their own networks and try to prevent illegal activity.
Wait a second, Patrick. That's not exactly what's going on here. In fact, the RIAA has been suing college students for years now. In fact, they've sued over 20,000 individuals all throughout this country. This is really an escalation in going after college students. But certainly, this is something that's been going on for 4 years. And there's really no reason to think it will get us any closer to a real solution where, as you said, college students with this insatiable appetite for music get to keep sharing music in a way that gets artists paid. Right? For 4 years, this is a strategy.
Derek, let me say, if the RIAA wanted to sue these students, it could. It said in the letter that it asked the universities to just block access to the files that the students were uploading. Yes, they've sued, and I don't have a problem with that, and they should sue more, but the college students should recognize that there are plenty of alternatives in the market. It's not Napster nowadays, like Kevin said it was before. You have services like ruckus.com, where all it takes is a .edu address, and you can download 2 million songs at no cost.
Yeah, Derek, we had the president of Ruckus on the show at one point, and what's the problem with a service like that? I mean, what's wrong with sending notices to college students who are stealing music, theoretically, when services like that do exist?
Well, there are a number of things. In part, that those services are crippled by digital rights management restrictions that, for one, don't let any of or most of the students who use Macs tend to access them. But the fact of the matter is that, for a variety of reasons, college students have turned away from these services because they don't let them keep doing what they really want to be doing, which is sharing music through a variety of mechanisms. And I suspect that quite a lot of them would be willing to do it for a flat nominal monthly fee. Right? The LA Times yesterday in an editorial suggested that it's time that the record industry adopted blanket licensing rather than blanket lawsuits, right? Rather than more of the same, this stay-the-course mentality of sending thousands of notices, thousands of lawsuits, it's time for a better way forward.
All right, Patrick, let me ask you about this, though, because the latest round was several notices, hundreds of thousands of notices. What's the strategy behind this? Because in the past, they have attempted to sue. They have sent notices before, and it didn't seem like that really seemed to make much of a dent. Are they just trying to scare college students, or are they getting serious about this issue now, finally?
The recording industry and the artists in the recording industry have always said that education was a large part of their mission, not just suing. And this is part of their educational process. They are trying to get universities to understand that when you give a student access to an incredibly high-speed network, and everybody is using that network to illegally download music because they don't particularly like some business model that might include DRM or doesn't allow them to do the amount of sharing that they might want to do, the university, if they turn a blind eye to that, is essentially imparting a moral lesson onto their student body that if you don't like the business model being presented to you, it's okay to steal it.
Patrick, the grandstanding about morality of the situation is interesting, but it gets us no closer to a real solution that puts money in artists' pocket, right? These threats do not put a dime in artists' pocket, right? Pockets. The fact of the matter is,
neither does illegal downloading.
Unabated.
Well, now Patrick, some people would say that at least illegal downloading helps with exposure, and it gets the artists out there, and if someone shares it, maybe that'll compel them to buy merchandise or see a concert. That is, one popular argument that file sharers use. Are there any holes in that, or is there a flaw to that thought process?
Well, Kevin, obviously there's one flaw. If you download some music illegally for free and you like it, why would you then pay? You would just continue to download it illegally for free. You may go to a concert, that is true. But we have to look at the broader intellectual property argument here and look at creators and look at artists. We don't walk into Barnes & Noble bookstores and steal the latest bestseller and then expect the author to make money by going on a lecture tour. Why are musicians somehow different? Why should they be forced only to pursue a business model that involves concerts?
Patrick, nobody's debating whether artists should be paid. Artists absolutely deserve to be paid, but also consumers have some rights, innovators have some rights, and this is not, we're not in a fair balance here in terms of copyright law and what's going on. The fact of the matter is
Derek,
this doesn't get us
okay?
closer to a real solution.
Derek, is it okay then that these students are downloading music without paying for it? Do you feel, yes or no, is that acceptable behavior? Yes or no?
Fatrick,
is it acceptable behavior?
The fact of the matter is,
I think that's
Patrick,
a fair question, Derek. But
the fact of the matter is it's continued unabated, right? The issue of the morality or the rightness of, right? The fact
and
of the
drug abuse is, obviously going on unabated, and libertarians would say we should legalize it. We can have that argument, but that doesn't justify.
Patrick,
we might be tangentizing just a bit here, but
Patrick,
I think it is a fair question. Patrick, I don't think Derek's ever going to say it's okay to steal music, just as I don't think Derek would ever say it's okay to threaten hundreds of thousands of college students on any of these grounds. And it's clear that there's a war on piracy. The yes or no question that I would like from each of you is will the RIAA ever win? Patrick, you first.
Okay, since Derek didn't do a yes or no, I get to actually do a little bit beyond yes or no.
Unfortunately, time doesn't allow for that. So, Derek, yes or no, are they ever going to win this war?
Not until they give consumers a way to keep doing what they're doing in a way that gets artists paid.
I gave you more than I should have, Derek. That's clearly a no. I want to thank Patrick and Derek for coming on. I appreciate both sides of the debate, guys. Thanks for keeping us in the loop. Listen, the war on college students it's futile, to say the least. I mean, does anyone really think they're going to get a nickel out of kids who are on their way to $75,000 in student loan debt? I mean, all frivolous lawsuits do are waste everyone's time, not just music lovers or music creators. Whether it's a private file transfer or massive peer-to-peer hosting, people are still going to swap songs. And if Kelly Clarkson has proven one thing, it's that great music still sells, despite piracy. God bless you, Kelly.
Attack of the Show, weeknights at 7, only on G4.